Welcome to NBA Today. We start the show with breaking news on Memphis star Ja Morant, who will be suspended for 8 games. He is eligible to return to play on Monday, March 20th. This was just announced by the NBA. That means that the 6 games including tonight, that he has already missed and been away from the team as the league was investigating an incident where he appeared to flash a gun on social media in a Denver nightclub. Those 6 games will count towards his total 8-game suspension. So for more, we bring in senior writer Ramona Shelburne, Richard Jefferson joining us as well. Ramona, what more can you tell us on how the league came to this decision?
Well, as our colleague Adrian Wojnarowski reported earlier, Ja Morant had a meeting with Adam Silver and the Players Association in New York today, and he expressed a deep contrition for his actions. And I thought what was interesting, based on what the league has put out here, is saying it's a lot like what the Colorado authorities said, which is that they could not conclude that Morant possessed the gun while traveling with the team or in any NBA facility.
Yep.
Okay, so what we've said the whole time, which is the league needs to identify, A, was that a firearm? B, is that Ja Morant's firearm? Did he possess that while traveling with the team or in any NBA facility? Because that is what is outlawed in the collective bargaining agreement. And so what they're saying here is, much like the Colorado authorities, they did not find sufficient cause to charge Morant. They could not prove that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. It's not necessarily what you see in a video. What the league concluded was that he did not possess the firearm in question for more than a brief period, right, from what you see in the video. And so those 6 games that he's been away from the team and 2 more, that is going to be the punishment. In this statement, it says without pay. So that is another issue that's been cleared up. And I thought what was interesting about this release, which just came out a couple of moments ago, it also includes a statement from Adam Silver.
Yep.
In which it says, Ja's conduct was irresponsible, reckless, and potentially very dangerous. It has serious consequences, given his enormous following and influence, particularly among young fans. And so this is a league, if you remember, that did public service announcements about gun violence just in 2015. This is a league that takes this very seriously. David Stern, his predecessor as commissioner, suspended Gilbert Arenas indefinitely for bringing guns into the Wizards' locker room. But they could not prove that this was his gun or that he possessed it for longer than what we saw in the video.
Right. So Adam Silver also said in a statement that Ja has made it clear to me that he's learned from this incident and that he understands his obligations and responsibility to the Memphis Grizzlies, the broader NBA community that extends well past his play on the court. Richard, we're reacting to this in real time. What do you make of this?
Well, I stand by what we saw was a lack of maturity, was a lack of responsibility. I think in talking to Adam Silver and talking to the NBA, I think he showed that he was apologetic. He hasn't committed a crime. He's not guilty of a crime. He's not pending further charges. So basically, it was like, hey, get your stuff together in so many words. And hopefully he is doing all of the necessary things to do that. He was down in Florida, again. And sometimes people are like, oh, he was only down there for a week. A lot of times is meeting with people that you can continue that journey once you get back to your life. So he can meet people down there for a week and start establishing a base of people that he can talk to, whether it's counselors, someone away from the team that doesn't feel like, oh, if I talk to them, then it's a certain way. So when I look at Ja Morant, he made a mistake. He did something that was completely irresponsible. He's acknowledged that. The Memphis Grizzlies and NBA have. And so right now it's about making sure that he's right in the mental place to get back with his team and get back to work and doing the things that he loves and the things that we want to see him do. That, to me, is the most important thing.
Ja Morant is eligible to return to play against the Dallas Mavericks on March 20th. What's your reaction to this?
Well, I think that was the right move by Adam Silver and the NBA. They had to take some type of action for us, discipline Ja. And I think Ja should be actually happy with the punishment that he got, because it could have been a lot worse. And again, like Richard said, this is a learning process for him. He will learn from this, and I think he will get better from this. And it's actually good that it happened now. But again, we have to realize that we're here to play the game of basketball. You work your entire life to get to this point. It's a learning situation, and it was the right move by the NBA. And I thought it was fair with the 8-game suspension for us with Adam Silver sent down. And again, Adam Silver is a guy that you can actually talk to. He's the best commissioner in sports in my eyes. And when it comes down to him having a personal relationship with players, I don't think it's another commissioner out there that far as having a personal relationship that is good as Adam Silver is.
Absolutely. And Adam Silver, he issued a statement that Ramona and I have shared in parts, but here it is in full. We want to make sure that you can read it alongside us as well. Ja's conduct was irresponsible, reckless, and potentially very dangerous. It has serious consequences given his enormous following and influence, particularly among young fans who look up to him. He has expressed sincere contrition and remorse for his behavior, which is so important, Ramona, that this is a learning experience. And no one got hurt, which is so incredibly important. Ja Morant went to get the help that he needs down at that treatment facility in Florida, as you and our colleague Adrian Wojnarowski reported. It's one of those things where sometimes it takes getting a scary moment or hitting a rock bottom in order to be able to better yourself, to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I need to be a little bit better for myself, for my teammates, for the people that are looking up to me. And my sincere hope is that this is that bottom, and from here it's only up, because his family needs him, the Memphis Grizzlies need him, and frankly, the NBA needs him. He is a face of this league, Richard.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's all well said. And I said this on social media. You can lose sight of things.
Yeah.
And I think that you know, sometimes we expect 22-year-olds to be perfect. We expect, 25-year-olds to be perfect. It is a growing process. And when you look at a guy like Ja, he $200 million, brand new shoe, rookie of the year, all of these things happen in a 2-3 year. You do get a sense of invincibility. You do get a sense of like everything is literally going my way. And then all of a sudden, not that you're acting out, but you start to act like you can do things that may be out of the norm, because you can lose touch with reality. If you've never been a 21-year-old, 100 millionaire, you don't, like, those things can affect you. And I think this was a great moment of reflection. And the way we are all talking about it, and I think everyone in this entire media have been critical of what he did, but also extremely supportive of him, saying, like, guys, we've seen greater men fall with less crazy things happen. So all we want is for Ja, his family, who he's been so close with, so like face forward in the media. You just want them to surround him and just give him the love, and then go play basketball. Go do what you love to do and keep the main thing the main thing. And I think there was a little bit of that lost over these past couple of weeks and months.
How is this, Ramona, reverberating within the Memphis Grizzlies?
Well, when I was around the team last week when they were here in Los Angeles, I think there was a real sense of uncertainty about what this was going to be for them and their team. But to a man, every single player you would talk to said, we care about Ja, that we want him to be better. We want to stand by him. We want to help him. And I thought you made a good point earlier, really good. Just say, this is, you get it. Sometimes you get that moment of reflection. Other time, and nobody got hurt here, right? And one of the discussions that we had last week was this had been a pattern of behavior that had been troubling to a lot of folks within the organization and around the league for quite some time. And there had been people who had spoken to Ja about it. It was not getting through. In the words of one person I spoke to last week, it just wasn't getting through. It looks like it's gotten through. And it's about what comes next. And I think we referenced Gilbert Arenas as a player who got an indefinite suspension for bringing firearms to a locker room. But it's important to point out, when you really go back and look at that situation, the suspension was not right after he brought the guns to the Wizards locker room. It was when he went back on the court and made a finger guns, like a gesture afterwards. And that was when David Stern essentially said, it's not sinking in. You're not getting how serious this is. And that was the indefinite suspension. Ja Morant, since this has happened, has apologized, has gone to a rehab facility. And now that he's been given a second chance here, it's about what happens next.
Yeah, the best thing that I've seen over the course of this stretch is how many athletes have reached out, whether it's publicly, privately, and said, hey, Ja. Gilbert Arenas was vocal about it. There's been different players that are saying, like, hey, look, get security. I played with LeBron, with Tim, with Dirk Nowitzki. Like, if you're going places, you can have a team security.
There was.
No, I know. I'm saying you can have your own. I'm just saying there's not a need for you to ever possess that in those spaces. At your home, 100%. In certain situations, 100%. If you're out in public, in bars, clubs, nightclubs, you do not need to be in possession. I think that's collectively known.
Well, and I think it comes from a place we've seen so many people reach out because so many people have felt a piece of themselves in what they have seen from Ja Morant. Whether that is Jalen Rose,
yes.
whether it's a professional athlete, whether it's an NBA player, whether it's us sitting up here, because we've all gone through something. All of us have needed to look ourselves in the mirror at some point and say, hey, man, this is getting a little bit scary, what's going on between my own ears, and maybe I need a little bit of help. And so hopefully, like you said, Ramona, it's about what comes next, because the Memphis Grizzlies, they are in a position right now. What is happening with Ja is far more important, his mental health, than anything that could happen on the court. But they're in a very real position right now to make a deep push in the playoffs. And if they want to do that, they're going to need him.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.